Welcome to Practice English.
Activate the subtitles to follow along. The Day That Changed My Morning. Chapter 1. A Late Night. Last year, something happened to me that I will never forget. It was a simple morning, but it turned into a small adventure that taught me a big lesson. Everything started the night before. It was Sunday evening, and I was at home with my cousin. He had just come over to spend the night because his parents were traveling. We had dinner with my family. My mom made rice with chicken, and we all ate together. After dinner, we were supposed to go to bed early. The next day was Monday, a school day. But my cousin had a different idea. "Hey, let's watch a movie," he said with a big smile. I hesitated. "A movie? But it's already late." "It's fine," he answered. "One movie won't hurt. We can sleep after." So, we sat down in the living room and chose a long adventure movie. At first, I told myself I would only watch half of it. But the story was so exciting that I couldn't stop. There were pirates, treasure maps, and secret islands. Every minute, something new was happening. While the movie was playing, my mom passed by. She said, "Don't stay up too late. Remember, you have school tomorrow." I nodded. But in my heart, I knew I wouldn't stop the movie. Time passed quickly. At one point, I looked at the clock and it was already midnight. I thought, it's okay. If I sleep right after the movie, I will still get enough rest. But the movie kept going. When it finally ended, it was almost 1:30 a.m. We turned off the TV and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep immediately. My head was full of images from the movie, ships in the ocean, storms, and treasure chests full of gold. I closed my eyes, but my brain was still busy. Finally, I fell asleep around 2 a.m. That was the first mistake of my story. Chapter 2. The Morning Disaster. At 7:30 a.m., I suddenly opened my eyes. The alarm clock was ringing loudly. But I had been dreaming deeply, and I didn't hear it at first. In my dream, I was walking in Paris near the Eiffel Tower. I was eating ice cream and taking pictures. Everything was peaceful. But then, ring, ring, ring! The sound of the alarm cut through the dream. When I looked at the clock, my heart jumped. "Oh no!" I shouted. "I'm late." Normally, I left the house at 7:40. I caught the school bus at 7:45. That meant I had less than 15 minutes to get dressed, brush my teeth, and prepare everything. My cousin was still sleeping when I jumped out of bed. I brushed my teeth so quickly that I almost dropped the toothbrush. I washed my face with cold water, hoping it would wake me up. Then I grabbed the first clothes I saw. I didn't even care if they matched. My hair was a mess, but there was no time to fix it. My mom was in the kitchen making breakfast. She smiled and said, "Good morning. Come and eat something." But I shouted, "No time, Mom, I'm late." I grabbed a piece of bread from the table. I ran out of the door with my bag half open. My cousin shouted from the bedroom, "Good luck." When I reached the bus stop, my worst fear came true. The bus was already leaving. I saw it moving slowly down the street. I ran as fast as I could. I waved my hands and shouted, "Wait, please wait." But the driver didn't hear me. In a few seconds, the bus turned the corner and disappeared. I stopped, breathing hard, my bag bouncing on my shoulder. A few people at the bus stop looked at me with sympathetic eyes. They knew exactly what had happened. The next bus usually came 1 hour later. If I waited, I would definitely arrive at school very late. While I was thinking about what to do, the sky became gray. Suddenly, it started to rain. At first, it was only a few drops, but then it became heavier. I looked at the sky and said, "Really? Rain now?" I didn't have an umbrella. My clothes started to get wet. My hair was already messy, and now it was wet too. At that moment, I realized this day was going to be a disaster. Chapter 3. The Rainy Walk. I had two choices: wait for the next bus or walk to school. The school wasn't very far, maybe 30 minutes by foot, but the rain made it feel like a big challenge. I decided to walk. As I walked down the street, I saw many little stories happening around me. A little boy was crying because his red balloon had flown away into the sky. His mother was trying to calm him down, saying, "Don't worry, we can buy another one." But the boy didn't stop crying. His small voice mixed with the sound of the rain. A few meters later, I saw an old man sitting on a bench in the park. He was feeding pigeons with pieces of bread. The birds were flying everywhere, making loud noises. The man didn't care about the rain. He just kept smiling as the pigeons landed on his hands. Two dogs were playing in the middle of the street. They were chasing each other in circles. Their fur was wet, but they looked very happy. One of them barked loudly. The other jumped into a puddle, splashing water everywhere. Farther ahead, I noticed a woman in high heels running down the street. She was holding a broken umbrella. The wind had turned it inside out, and she looked very upset. She was clearly late for work, just like me. Meanwhile, I was walking as quickly as I could. Cars were moving slowly. Their tires were splashing dirty water onto the sidewalk. At one point, a car passed too close. My shoes were completely soaked. Every step made a funny sound. Squish, squish, squish. While I was walking, I kept thinking about what my teacher would say. She didn't like late students. She often said, "If you can't come on time, you need to learn discipline." I imagined her angry face and I felt nervous. The rain kept falling, but something strange happened. Even though I was wet and tired, I started to notice small details around me. The smell of wet grass, the sound of water on the rooftops, the way people hurried with their umbrellas. It was like the whole city was alive, moving quickly under the rain. By the time I reached the school gate, I was completely wet. My clothes were heavy. My hair looked like a bird's nest. But at least I had arrived. Chapter 4: The Teacher's Lesson. When I entered the classroom, everyone turned to look at me. Some students laughed when they saw my wet clothes. One whispered, "Did you swim to school?" I tried to ignore them, but my face turned red. The teacher stopped writing on the board. She looked at me with serious eyes. "You're late," she said. I nodded silently, water dripping from my hair. "Why are you late?" she asked. I didn't know what to say. Should I tell her about the movie? Should I explain about the rain and the bus? I stayed quiet. Finally, she sighed. "Sit down. We'll talk later." I sat at my desk, shivering. My notebook got wet when I opened it. The ink on the pages started to spread. I couldn't focus on the lesson. At the end of class, the teacher asked me to stay. She said, "Listen, I know mornings can be hard, but discipline is important. You can't control the rain, but you can control your choices." Her words hit me like a heavy stone. I realized she was right. If I had gone to bed earlier, none of this would have happened. Chapter 5: The Lesson I Learned. That day taught me something simple but powerful. Small decisions create big results. Watching a movie late at night seemed harmless, but it led to missing the bus, walking in the rain, and being late to class. Since then, I try to prepare better. I sleep earlier. I set 2 alarms instead of 1. I also keep an umbrella in my bag, just in case. Of course, I still make mistakes sometimes. But now, when I think about staying up too late, I remember that rainy morning. I remember running to the bus, getting soaked, and standing in front of my teacher with wet hair. It was embarrassing, but it was also unforgettable. And that's why I say, a small decision can change your whole morning, sometimes even your whole day.